From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, where we count down, of course, the top 10 topics of the week that make us go wow. I'm co-founder of World of Wonder, Fenton Bailey, joined by best-selling author, host of the Wow Podcast Network's Night Fever, James St. James.
How do you do?
Howdy. And joining us in place of Tom Campbell, who's still away on top secret assignment, Blake Jacobs.
It's me.
Now, for those of you on the radio who cannot see, Blake is wearing one of the most fabulous Reba McEntire t-shirts I have ever seen in my life.
It's what I call a parking lot t-shirt. You get them a lot in LA. You know, you get them in the parking lot. You don't buy them at the merch booth.
Oh, so
and
it's
like
a
long sleeve from the Hollywood Bowl on April 1st, April Fool's Day.
That is gorgeous, Blake. And James, what are you wearing, just for our viewers?
Oh, I'm doing a Basquiat t-shirt.
Basquiat for Uniqlo, it looks like.
It is Basquiat, yes.
Gorgeous. All right, let's start with the countdown. Number 10, James.
Number 10.
Congratulations to everybody on their Oscar nominations this week that came out. But I want to talk a little bit about the Oscar snubs that happened. First and foremost,
don't you think this year it seems like the snubs are kind of overtaking the actual nominees?
Yes.
Oh, the more people are talking about the snubs than are talking about the actual nominees. You're absolutely true. And I think more people are heartbroken, like myself, about Charles Melton not getting nominated for May, December. You know, he was so good in it. That scene on the roof where he's sobbing, I thought that should have clinched it for him. And the boy looks so good walking a red carpet. Nobody wears a tuxedo.
Yeah, his name has been on the tip of everyone's tongues when we're talking about
the tongue can be on the tip of my tongue. I'll tell you that.
You are bearing the lead in terms of snubs here. You're going to get canceled for this.
Well, no. I think we'll get to the ones that, you know, because I want to say Julianne Moore, Leonardo DiCaprio, who I thought gave a superlative performance in Killers of the Flower Moon. He was so spooky, so icky, so creepy that maybe he turned off some of the Academy.
Has he ever won an Academy Award?
Yeah, he did for The Revenant. Remember where he was?
But he's generally been snubbed his whole career, don't you think?
Well, that's just it. He has the Academy has a love-hate relationship with him, and they sometimes shower him with nominations, and sometimes they ignore him. I don't know what it is. Well, I suspect a few things, but many people, I think one of the biggest snubs of all time Academy snubs was Zac Efron did not get nominated for White Claw. I mean, it's up there with, like, you know.
James, I'm outraged. Will you get to the lead?
Hold on. Okay. So the big one on everyone's that everyone is talking about, everyone's melting down, is that Margot Robbie did not get nominated in the acting category while Ryan Gosling did, and it sort of perpetuates the notion of the patriarchy that the entire movie is based around. When the male in a feminist movie gets nominated, but the female doesn't. I happen to love Ryan's performance. I'm Just Ken, I think, is one of the greatest musical numbers of all time. What did you think about that? Do you have any thoughts?
Well, I was just Hillary Clinton weighed in and message of support, and but then the hate pile-on started on Hillary. Like, you know,
that to me, I'll tell you that HuffPo headline where it said Hillary Clinton weighed in, and it'll make you cringe, and it was like, what was cringe? She supported $1 billion movie. She said it made a movie. It will stand the test of times. Little girls love it. Like, there's nothing wrong with this. You still win. You are still a winner. And everyone was like hating Hillary for that.
Right, because she's not talking about global warming or whatever.
I think it's because she doesn't have a penis.
Well, I mean, is Barbie's ultimate sin the fact that it made $1 billion? Because I think the Academy always punishes commercial movies.
Well, the thing is first of all, as Whoopi Goldberg said on The View, if I may quote her, she said there really are no snubs. That some years you get nominated, some years you don't. If you don't get nominated, you just move on. It's not that big of a deal in the real, in the real world. It's something, if it happens, gorgeous. And Margot Robbie, her Wolf of Wall Street performance was probably, I mean, that to me should have gotten the win, because that was a mind-blowing performance. I liked her Harley Quinn. I think she has many years of getting nominations. And I think the fact that this movie,
I think it's a bigger snub that Greta wasn't nominated.
I do too, but Greta got the the screenwriting nomination, and with both of them, I mean, it's a movie that will be around in 50 years. Though it'll be on TBS, 20 times a day. It's something that like little girls look up to. That it's something that it will stand the test of time.
The Oscars never pick the classics that stand
exactly, and
almost by definition.
And it saved the industry. $1 billion movie. It's the first, female directed movie to reach that much money. I mean, like, there's so many firsts about it. I don't think anyone can walk away from the film feeling bad about a snub.
Right.
But an Oscar is an Oscar.
I was a little disappointed. I was very disappointed that Rosamund Pike did not get nominated for Saltburn, because she was so funny and she was so fabulous. And also another snub, best performance by a bathtub drain, and best performance by a burial mound.
Okay. That sounds like you're moving on to the next item. Oscar nominations and snubs. They're on TV at some point. Probably less people will watch than ever watched before. And also, I hear there's a movement to like make everyone wear pink in protest. That the whole idea is everyone should show up to the Oscar cast in pink.
I think we should just on Oscar Day we should all just wear pink in protest. Yes, I think everyone everywhere.
Right.
Because I did just buy a really cute little pink jacket. Remember, because I went to Victoria's Secret and got a little pink camisole. I have the look. I'm missing some pink shoes, but I have
an invite.
What?
And an invite.
That's good. We'll move on to number 9.
Number 9.
Well, let's go from the best to the worst. I want to talk a little bit about the Razzie nominations. Have you guys heard anything about these?
I do know that didn't J-Lo get one?
Jennifer Lopez was nominated for The Mother for Worst Actress this year. Yeah.
Good. Yes, well deserved.
The most nominated film this year at the Razzies is Expendables, but the A is a 4, so it's Expendables.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the Expendables franchise, of course. It received 7 nominations. Second place is The Exorcist Believer.
Which is weird because we saw that. Didn't I see that with you, Fenton?
No, we saw Saltburn together. It's easily confused.
Same thing.
I saw The Exorcist, and I thought that was I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
It was, I mean...
I got a little screechy right there.
Yeah. I didn't think it was like the worst film of all time.
No.
Yeah.
There was puking. There was head spinning. What else do you want?
It was like Fenton going to Broadway.
What is one of the snubs of the Razzies?
Well, I personally thought that, and this may be a hot take, but I hated Poor Things.
What was it nominated? What Razzie?
Well, it won the Golden Globe, so everyone loves it.
Yeah, but honey, you are not a Yorgos Lanthimos type of guy. I don't think we could take you to any of those and you'd be happy with any of his movies. I don't think. Yeah, I just know you too well.
It's just not for me.
No,
Are you
no.
celebrating, James, because the MCU, Marvel Comic Universe, got its first nomination for a Razzie?
Oh, Ant-Man, right? And one, which is one of the ones that you gushed on about, you gassed on about how wonderful that was. And you were the only person on the entire planet who said that. You also gushed on about the Guardians of the Galaxy 7 or whatever it was. And that was such a you will just cape for any of those MCU
Well, but
movies.
didn't you love Shazam: Fury of the Gods, which was
No.
also nominated?
Oh, was it?
DC.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, he came out, remember, as an anti-vaxxer, pro-Trump,
Oh,
the guy, the Shazam guy. So no, I couldn't see
well,
that.
both of those got 4 nominations. The big thing is, remember last year they nominated the little girl from Firestarter as worst actress, and then they rescinded it. Well, this year they said, we believe a public apology is owed Mrs. Armstrong, and we wish to say we regret any hurt she experienced as a result of our choices. Razzie's co-founder John Wilson said, we have never intended to bury anyone's career. It is why our Redeemer Award was created. We all make mistakes, very much us included. Since our motto is own your bad, we realize that we ourselves must also live up to it.
But like I'm saying, hold on, they bury this little girl's career, they bully her, and then it takes a year of her having to live with that.
Well,
Before they
no, I think they
apologize.
rescinded it at the time, but now they're also just saying this. Also, but you'll remember before we knew anything about Bruce Willis's career, there was an entire category of
Oh,
horrible Bruce Willis films from 2022 or whatever.
right.
So
And are they giving the Redeemer Award to?
they're giving it to Ryan Kiera Armstrong, the little girl from Firestarter.
Oh, okay, they just won't leave her alone.
It's true. She's like the Taylor Swift stalker who was just arrested for the 11th time or something.
Have you seen the Taylor Swift AI shots?
No, but I heard she's suing and that it's going to be a big deal.
All right. Oh, shall we go on?
Yes, please.
All right. Okay. Number 8.
Number 8.
Okay, so the first Oscars were in 1929.
Right. Yeah, and who won? Who won best picture?
Fitton.
Wings, of course.
Oh, well, there you go.
The
Marvel.
show?
But 5 years, but I there's no segue here. Why am I even trying? But there's this guy, this researcher from Calgary University, who's writing a book, and the book is called The Press Gallery, because his particular obsession is news clippings from the past. And the book, The Press Gallery, is all about how we can't seem to stop having the same arguments. Like, why is it that nobody wants to work anymore? They've been printing this in newspapers since 1800, and since newspapers were invented. So he published a thing that he found this newspaper that did predictions in 1924, 5 years before the Academy Awards, of what would 2024 be like.
And what would 2024 be like?
I thought you would never ask. Ever moving sidewalks.
Okay. Yeah.
Motor cars.
They have them in airports.
That's true,
Yeah.
right? Motor cars increasing and multiplying indefinitely.
Okay, sure.
But then veers off saying that the horse will become extinct. So that hasn't happened.
Okay, yeah.
Debutantes will dye their skin all the colors of the rainbow.
Oh, well, that's like Drag Race, sure.
Actually, that's a good point. It's Hunger Games and it's tattoos, right?
Prince
sure.
Poppy at the Emmys this year.
Yes, right. The Goblin. Yeah.
I've been doing Blueface since 1986. So yeah, I'm right on.
Honey, you've been doing it since 1896. I think. We will live to be 100 years old. Case in point, James. We'll have buildings that are 100 stories high.
Yeah.
Okay. But beds will fling kids out of bed in the morning. That hasn't happened.
I did. You know what I got for Christmas this year? I got one of those watches that will shock you awake.
Oh,
So
but
that's
they
kind of
also
like
have
us.
for old people, they have those chairs that stand up and fling you out of the chair. So
Yes.
sort of.
Oh, here's the best one. I should have led with this. Movies will bring about world peace. Well, that
It's kind of the opposite. Remember, there was almost a war with that Seth Rogen movie,
yeah,
North
the
Korea.
dictator,
Yeah,
and I think in the wake of the Oscar nomination, like just people are so angry and
Yeah.
just hating and fighting on each other about it.
Anything about being on Mars or any?
Yes, we will hop from planet to planet as easily as we soar through the sky.
That might be in another 100 years.
Yeah, flying clothes.
Flying clothes.
I guess they'll just fly, either fly off you or
Like sort of like the birds bringing Cinderella her gown, but without the birds.
yes, there you go, exactly.
Okay.
And men's legs will wither away from underuse.
What? Well, that's if you have seen my legs. I
well,
have not done leg day.
they were going to, but thank goodness Vinton put in these standing desks for us at World of Wonder.
There you go, we're saved. But the weirdest thing is not from 1924. I was on his X thing looking, and he's always posting little things from newspapers. Here's a prediction from 2001, and I quote, "World ends. President Trump, the last man left on Earth, announces he will rebuild the world and do a much classier job than the first guy, that God guy, and President Trump announces his plan to rename Earth Trump's planet."
I believe that one is probably just
The most.
months away. I think this time next year we might be on our ashes will be on Trump world.
Yeah. Do you think I just wondered as I was reading it out, do you think it's fake? Like, I mean, not do you think it really was published?
Oh, you mean do you think in 2002 he knew that President Trump would be there? Well,
No.
The Simpsons and said that there was a President Trump, and remember Back to the Future 2 had a President Trump in the future.
You're right. Well, there you go. Should we take a break?
Yeah.
All right. Brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race season 16 airs tonight on Wow Presents Plus, pretty much worldwide, and of course here in the States on MTV. You can sign up on wowpresentsplus.com because February 4th we have Drag Race Belgique season 2 and Drag Race España All Stars, and then February 9th RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the World season 2. Oh my
So
God.
let me get this straight. Every week you have 4 new episodes playing on Wow Presents Plus.
That's right.
4 new episodes to follow of a drag race somewhere for your liking.
That is true.
God bless World of Wonder.
Wow Presents Plus. And it's only what, like $4.99 a month, James? I mean, these fools are giving it away.
It is, and that is just, it's an amazing accomplishment. Congratulations. Congratulations to everyone involved.
Congratulations to Ru and the entire team. They do an amazing job. Blake, have you got a question?
Well, they do an amazing job for as long as it lasts anyway, because they just announced how close we are to midnight on the doomsday clock. Do you guys know how close we are?
We'll have the answer right after the break here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James and Blake. We're counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go
Wow.
wow. And Blake, you had a question for us for the break.
Yeah, those scientists, that tell us how close we are to midnight on the doomsday clock, they have just updated the doomsday clock for 2024. Do you know how close to midnight we are?
I think we're 4 minutes away. I think we were 9 minutes or something, and now we're 4 minutes.
I think we're closer than that. I think we're either 3 minutes or 90 seconds. But I will tell you that they have not moved it closer to midnight this year. We're still at the same point we were in 2023, right?
That
I
is
wonder
correct.
where we'll be after November of November 4th. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
we'll have to check back in 2025, but for this year, it's 90 seconds.
Oh wow!
And it didn't change from last year. And the
I
Earth,
don't think.
it can be turned back.
Yeah, I don't think in my life we've ever been this close. And I was there during, the cold, like during the, Russia era with Reagan. That is wild.
Well, they gave 4 reasons. Do you want to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can
Yes,
very
yes,
quickly.
them.
Sure, you can cut them out if
Okay.
it's too much time.
Many dimensions of nuclear threat is one. An ominous climate change outlook. Evolving biological threats and the dangers of AI.
Oh, that AI, yeah.
The AI thing is like, did you see that Paris, the Eiffel Tower in flames?
Yes.
I thought that was a very, was it a powerful example of how AI could really be disruptive? Because it looked pretty real.
Well, until you realize that it's made of steel.
Steel.
Steel doesn't catch fire. I sort of had an inkling with that one, but you do you, Fenton. No, but a scarier thing to me was in New Hampshire where the robocalls were set up and people were getting calls from Joe Biden saying not to vote. No, don't bother voting because it's fake or something. And it was a fake Joe Biden. And it made me start to think that all sorts of AI, fakes are going to start coming more and more as we get closer to November. It's just that will be really disruptive and scary.
Cheerful. All right, let's carry on with our countdown. Number 7, James.
Number 7.
There's a new Pete Davidson comedy special on Netflix. What's the name of it, Blake?
Turbo Fonzarelli.
Turbo Fonzarelli, right. And I couldn't watch it. I got about 15, 20 minutes into it and I had to turn it off. It was making me upset. It really disturbed me on a very primal level. And I have to qualify this by saying I like Pete Davidson. I think he's very talented. I think he's handsome. I think he's tragic. I think he's talented. I am always rooting for him. And I usually think that he's very funny. This started off kind of weird, funny, and then it took a weird right turn. And I'm going to tell you the story that he tells, and it's sort of graphic. So if you have children, cover their ears right here. He starts saying that when he was 10 years old, he had a crush on Leonardo DiCaprio, and he said that he was just in love with him, like we all were. And he said that he had a poster of him next to his bed, and it wasn't of Titanic. It was from the beach where he's shirtless, and he would just stare at the shirtless Leonardo. And he realized he thought he was gay at 10 years old, and it upset him, and it made him nervous and sad, and he didn't know what to do with it. And he was sitting on his porch one day, and he was all depressed because he didn't know how to tell everyone that he was gay. And his mother came up on the porch, and she said, "What's wrong with you?" And he said, "Mom, I'm in love with Leonardo DiCaprio, and I think I might be gay." 10 years old, right? And she says, "You want to suck his dick? You want to suck Leonardo's dick?" And he was like, 10 years old. He's like, I don't think like that. I'm not even thinking like that. And he said, "I don't know." And she said, "Do you want Leonardo to fuck you from behind? Do you want him to fuck your butthole like a woman? Do you want him to ram himself?" And he was like, "No." And she said, "Then you aren't gay." And he said, "Oh," and okay. And he looked at the audience and said, "So I haven't been gay since." And I just thought, what a weird, traumatizing, just wrong parenting thing that was, and how sad for him.
Well,
and how
is his mom not upset with him for saying this, even if she did or didn't do
at what point though what does that say about the relationship with your mother and the boundaries? And
I thought he was super close with her. Like, didn't he live in her basement?
He is, but that speaks to also that mentality of an abuser and the victim, and how often that the relationship gets tied together and you can't escape from it. And maybe he needs to escape from it, but I don't know. I don't know what the relationship is now. But I just found the whole thing so upsetting that this child who, you know, he might be bisexual, he might have been gay, he might have been not straight, whatever. But you go through phases, and he just liked Leonardo, and his mother just went. It was such a violent thing to say to a child. It just upset me to the point where I was in tears, and I had to turn off the show.
Gosh. It is pretty horrible, and makes you think that how many people have suppressed how much of themselves. You know, not necessarily, as you say, James, completely gay, but gayish a bit. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, why not love Leonardo DiCaprio? What a beautiful thing.
It's like the boys who, you know, they want to wear a princess dress when they're 4, and it doesn't mean that they're gay or they're drag queens. They just wanted to wear a princess, but it gets beaten out of them, and then they can never go back to. They can never revisit in their heads anything that they were thinking. I don't. It just. I
feel, of course, you won't, and I understand why, but I feel we almost need to see the rest of it now to hear the rest of what is in the rest of the special. Although it seems like you sort of seem, I got the impression last time you talked about it that indicate that it wasn't very well received generally at all.
There was a couple jokes that fell really flat, and he seems like he needs, you know, I don't want to give I'm not a doctor. I can't give medical advice, but it just seems like he needs help again. And he needs, and the thing is, you know, in comedy is about turning trauma into laughter. It's about taking your pain and bleeding on stage for the audience and hoping to work through whatever demons you have. You know, I mean, that's what art is. And God bless him. And if you do it and if it works, it's fabulous. But I think in this case, he's a little too raw for his own good. And I think he needs to work on himself a little before he can have that distance. Time, you know, comedy is some trauma plus time. And I don't think he's had the time.
Got it. That's Turbo Fonzarelli, Pete Davidson's comedy special, streaming on Netflix. Lake number 6.
Number 6.
I just want to talk about some little pop culture potpourri or, you know, hot topic. Have you guys heard this latest news about the White Lotus season 3?
The anti-Ukrainian guy that was hired?
Yeah, I guess.
Russian?
Yeah, there is. Ukraine is lambasting the White Lotus for casting Milos Bikovic. He's a Serbian actor who voiced support and admiration for Russia amid the ongoing war. But not only that, like he's been accused of supporting Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine, posting on X a poll that shows his trust in Putin was higher than in Ukraine President Zelensky. He also starred in a string of Russian films, one of which was like filmed in Crimea, which was overtaken by Russia, you know. And he was like Putin awarded Bikovic a Pushkin Medal for advancing Russian culture.
And also, he had a lot of his posts apparently are now online, his Twitter stuff, and it's very homophobic. It's very, you know, pro-Russia, pro-Putin, blah, 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 which is so weird that the White Lotus produced, written, directed, starring gay people.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know, why they didn't do their due diligence and figure this out before hiring him is one of those things that, like, we all have to learn that you need to do your background.
Mike White is a very contrary. He does his own thing, I think.
Well, I'll tell you something. He is hot. The guy is really freaking
the
hot.
story's developing and HBO hasn't commented yet, but maybe, you know.
I mean, on the plus side, Parker Posey's in it, which is, you know, the new Jennifer Coolidge. I mean, not that Jennifer Coolidge needs to be renewed. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, it looks like it's a fantastic cast. I mean, his casts are always fantastic, and maybe he's the villain in it, or maybe, you know, and we're supposed to hate him. I don't know, but he is hot.
Okay.
Snoop Dogg has told Andy Cohen recently that he tried to get Michael Jackson high.
And
Huh.
Michael didn't?
The story is both superstars attended and performed at Christian Audiger's birthday in 2008. And after their set, Snoop, ran backstage to light up a blunt. And he found out that Michael's dressing room was next door. So he says he hopped up, opened the door, blew a bunch of smoke into the hallway. And Michael was just standing there and said, "Snoop, don't do that."
I bet if he had offered him some propofol, it would have been a different story.
Well, who knows? And
Or
then
some Jesus juice.
Oh, God. Moving on. Yes, Blake.
Kevin Spacey at
You were just bringing out all
I
of his
know, it's
nightmares,
like-
aren't you?
Brilliant but cancelled. What is this?
what about, have you heard about the Fontainebleau nachos in Vegas?
No.
Well, there's this big stir because this guy posted that he waited an hour for these nachos at the Fontainebleau, and they finally got them, and it was 6 chips covered in condiments, and the internet went crazy, roasting the Fontainebleau, and they've already updated their recipe and everything. So,
and Kevin Spacey commented on this. Well, I don't know.
That is a different story, James.
Oh, well, we're gonna have the
You
Kevin
knew
Spacey
that.
story. Come on,
So you jettisoned the Kevin Spacey story in favor of 6 nachos with that jalapeno on it.
Yeah, you guys made it seem like I was,
Can
only
we just get the Kevin Spacey story, please?
Kevin Spacey. He is going to be at a horror convention.
A horror convention or a horror convention?
Both, I guess. A lot of people are not too happy about it, which they're making quite clear. He's scheduled to appear at Mad Monster Party 2024 in North Carolina. And
what was his horror movie?
7.
Oh, sure. Okay.
This is his first time going. Don't you it seems like times must be a little tough for old Kevy.
What
do you guys think?
We should do this. This potpourri is really like a roundup of cancelled, right? Lately cancelled. You got the Chips, Kevin Spacey.
Exactly. The White Lotus.
White Lotus guy. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right. Wow.
And Michael Jackson.
Right. Who's sort of permanently cancelled, right? I guess.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, put me out of my misery and go to number 5.
All right, here we go.
Number 5.
I am reading Prequel, and I think the title is a little misleading, but it's by Rachel Maddow, who I have just adore her. I think she is one of the rare truth tellers of our times. And I've always loved Rachel Maddow because she begins her show with some thing about the sea cucumber or whatever it may be, and then just weaves her way to this incredible jaw-dropping revelation. So she begins this Prequel in 1907 with a book, The House of the Vampire, written by a German called Sylvester Viereck. And as she wryly comments, it is known today by precisely no one as the world's greatest gay vampire fiction. But anyway, yes, Sylvester was a little gay and wrote this book that no one really cared about. But his real story was that he then went on to do sort of interviews with really famous people like Einstein and Nikola Tesla and Henry Ford and Freud, including a little known German who he said should be someone that we handle with care because he's explosive. And that, of course, turned out to be Adolf Hitler. Bless Sylvester, raving loony Nazi. And, as is often the case with fascists, they're incredibly evil, but also somehow do really ridiculous self-owns. And as a spy, he left a suitcase full of documents that revealed everything on the subway. And so...
Wait, so he ended up being a spy for the Nazis?
In World War I, and then more successfully in World War II. In fact, he was paying a senator and was writing all the senator's speeches, which were then distributed for free through the US Postal Service, as is required by political leaders have that privilege. I mean, just an incredible story. And the whole point of Prequel is the fascistic zone we're in right now is really a rerun of what was going on in the countdown to World War II, and how the Nazis were spreading lots of propaganda about inoculations, kind of like social media does today, just false facts, creating division, hoping that we all become so angry with one another that A, we wouldn't go into World War II, and B, that we would just, destroy ourselves so the Nazis wouldn't really have to do anything other than just sort of come in and mop up. So it's a very, I didn't know, and maybe you know this, James, that Philip Johnson, the architect, the glass house, was a full-on Nazi.
I think I've heard, yeah.
He went to the Nuremberg rallies. He tried to start. He hired a German manservant called Rudolph, which Rachel Maddow calls cosplay. And then I guess he became this like renowned modern architect.
Well, I mean, it's Coco Chanel, of course, famously had her, Nazi lover. I mean, like so many people that. I mean, and we've talked about this so many times, where Picasso being an anti-Semite, and I mean, so many. It's so hard to retroactively go back and separate genius from their.
But what's interesting about the book is that so many of the arguments that we're wrestling with now, like America for Americans, build a wall, immigrants are taking jobs away, they're the same arguments.
Vermin.
And the vaccinations, and picking on people who basically aren't white or male. It's in a way well, obviously it's depressing, but it's also
even as far back as 2016, I remember there were the lists of how to tell a fascist, and it had all the lists, and it was crossing things off. I mean, we've been counting down, we are at 1939 at least,
right?
If we're talking about,
and I wonder if they felt they were 90 seconds away from midnight on the doomsday clock back in the day.
I sort of think they do, because you can cut this out, but one of my favorite songs of all time is it's a Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers from Follow the Fleet, I think, and it's talking about how it's 1938, and so the world is on the brink of war, and but we don't realize yet how bad it's going to get. And the song is God, I can't think about the word. I can't even blah blah blah. But something about how let's just, while we have the moon tonight, let's dance, because we don't know where tomorrow is going. And I have a feeling that they sort of realized that the world was about to change, and you don't know how bad it's going to get, but you have a feeling in your bones that the world is about to change.
That's yes. I mean, there's one character in this book. It's such a good book, and she tells it so well. But one character in this book says, "Democracy is doomed. This is our last election," and it feels like, oh, well, here we are again. Just
it does feel like that. Yeah, that it is the end of the America that we knew.
All right. Hey Queen, streaming exclusively on World of Wonders platform wowpresentsplus.com. It's very exciting. Johnny McGovern has come to join the WoW universe, and he will sit down with each eliminated queen from each week of RuPaul's Drag Race 16 for a tell-all interview.
I went down and saw the set the other day, and it looks so good. We've done such a good job with it. And also, isn't Kevin Aviance beaming in to do the Lady Red Couture role?
Yes, exactly. It's very good. Very excited. And you can also watch Girls Fashion Photo Review, Tongue Tied with Pangina, Bring Back My Girls, and so much more. All right. Blake, you got a question?
I do. Max Martin, Swedish pop maestro Max Martin, just broke the record for most Hot 100 number ones among producers this week. Who did he beat, and what's the new song that put him over the top?
We'll have the answer for you right after the break here on the WoW Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James and Blake. We're counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow. We've reached. Oh, what? No, we got a question. What was the question?
Yes, I asked. Swedish pop maestro Max Martin just broke the record for most Hot 100 number ones among producers this week. I asked, who did he beat, and what's the new song that put him over the top?
Well, I'm thinking it's either like a Berry Gordy or Mark Ronson. I mean, it's one or the other. It's someone old or someone new. What do you think, Fenton? Who do you think?
I think it's Mark Ronson.
Okay.
It is George Martin, who was the Beatles producer back in the day.
Max, two Martins.
Right.
Okay. And what was the song?
Yeah, what was the song?
Is it for Ariana Grande? Is it her song?
That's it. Yes, and Ariana Grande's new song from her forthcoming 7th album.
Didn't she have
Max
like
Martin.
a Yes Next or something? What is she? What
Thank you, next.
Thank you,
Yes,
next.
and
Next. Yes, and okay, but how? I mean, we can play that one. How many titles can we give her?
I don't know. You'll just have
Maybe
to wait.
no.
we're going down
Perhaps.
the top 10 things. And we reached number 4, James.
Number 4.
You know how sometimes like Netflix or all these streaming services, they'll say to you, James, we've found this gay Kazakhstani soap opera set in a post-apocalyptic prison planet that we think you'll just love. And you watch it and you do. You end up like, they really know, they get to know you. And last week they said, James, have you heard about 1670? If you liked The Great, you're going to love 1670. The Great, of course, is that the show with Elle Fanning and Nicholas Hoult that was set in the court of
Hulu.
Catherine the Great. So funny, so fantastic, but it had that real modern twist, modern sensibility to it. And this it's 1670, and it's Poland. It's a Polish sitcom mockumentary series, right? And it's told in the style of like The Great meets The Office or Parks and Rec. It's sort of like face to camera where they're talking to a bubble, and it's all very modern and everything, and it's about a Polish nobleman in 1670, which I'm not up on my Polish
Weren't you there?
history. Yes. And I don't know the cultural norms of the medieval Polish society, but I don't think you have to enjoy this, because it's extremely funny, and it's extremely it's sort of Monty Python-esque in its humor. It is just bizarre and hysterical, and it's this nobleman who is trying to become the most famous man in Poland, which is the most powerful nation on the planet in 1670. And it's his battle with the villagers and things like that as he rises to the top.
Wow, Netflix is really on a jag at the moment. Their stock price is through the roof. They've added gazillion subscriptions. They're hot again, right?
Yeah, and like I said, for a Polish mockumentary series that's subtitled, it is surprisingly accessible for American audiences. And they suggested it, and I ate it up in one binging. And it didn't get renewed, sadly, but there is the one perfect season from last year that I think you should check out. 1670.
Great, thank you. Number 3, Blake.
Number 3.
Yeah, I am going to have a little help from James. I want to talk a little about fashion. My bit is about Kylie Jenner. Have you seen the photos of her in Paris Fashion Week? She was at the Jean-Paul Gaultier show, and she looks fresher face. How would you describe it, James?
Don't get me started on her reinvention, because she, as a classy lady, because she's dating Timothée Chalamet now.
Exactly.
And she got all sorts of blowback from playing kissy face with him at the Golden Globes. So now she has to come out as a refined lady who lunches. To give me a break.
Well, everyone online is saying she looks way old. Like someone said she's aging in dog years.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's all of Gen Z for me. I'm sorry. everything that it's don't get me. And I have a few things to say about Fashion Week myself.
Go ahead.
I think we should just scrap the name altogether and call it Schiaparelli Day and a few other shows, because that's all anyone cares about. It's all that you see on social media. It is all that anyone talks about, is usually the big gold jewelry and black dress. Everything is enormous gold jewels on a neck, on your head, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There was the two outfits. There was the one with the spiny, did you see that? With the bones coming out of your back. And it looked like a coat rack, and you couldn't sit down in it. The other one, of course, was the motherboard dress. That is, you had to have seen that.
Oh yes,
yes, where it's broken iPhones and broken motherboards and crystals all glued to a dress. And I very quickly wrote on X, I said, I can see every drag queen in the country with their glue guns out right now, smashing their iPhones and sticking them on dresses right now. And then I was reminded that every drag queen has done this dress already. Most notably, Alyssa Edwards, when she came out in the phone. Remember, she had the phone dress, the iPhone dress. So this is something that's been sort of floating around in the fashion ether for a while. The other thing I wanted to quickly mention was Kim Kardashian for Balenciaga. And if you recall, Balenciaga had been canceled, and Kim Kardashian tried to distance herself from Balenciaga, saying she was horrified by it. And now she's in,
a brand ambassador, whatever.
She's the brand ambassador. And the photo looks like it was photoshopped by a drunken toddler with a pair of scissors that just, made her look like she weighed about, 75 pounds. No. Kim, was there no oversight to this, or was it some sort of fashion joke? I don't know anymore. So those are my Fashion Week thoughts.
Moving on, number two. Reading another book by Mark Chiusano, who's a reporter. The book is called The Fabulist, and it is all about George Santos.
Yes. What is the turnaround on that?
I don't know, but he's been working on this story for a long time, kind of almost before George Santos was elected. I think he was a local reporter who really was onto him from the beginning. And I believe initially there was some cooperation from Santos, but then he was like, I will go to the depths of hell to get a restraining order from you. Although he, another fascist self-own, he misspelt form. He said, it's a restraining order form you. I will file a police report for harassment. And, but it's a really interesting book. And of course, Santos was, before his indictment and being ejected from the, wherever, he was the 3rd Congressional District. He was a U.S. representative, which is basically Nassau County, which is basically where the Great Gatsby lived. So this idea of this sort of con man who sort of self-invented himself. And of course,
how Gatsby-esque is that he is Gatsby?
Well, Gatsby had money. I don't think George Santos has money in the way, But you're right, James. I mean, he's fronting, and that they call it pseudological fantastica, which is a condition when people really believe the lies, and the fantasies that they're telling.
That's every Trump,
It is, right? I mean,
it sounds like we're having a pandemic of that.
Yeah, and of course, he's anti-vaccination. COVID is, the Kraken, all this stuff. I mean, I'm not going to go into George Santos's many lies. I am so fascinated, though, by the reason I read the book was because Jennifer.
He was going to be a judge on Drag Race.
No. Jenna first announced a documentary. He's got access to George Santos and is telling the story. And Jenna first did one of the fire fraud documentaries. And he was really sniffy in an interview about this book, saying, well, George Santos didn't even cooperate with this book. As if that would make the book more authentic. It was just a weird thing. Yeah. And you realize that Jenna first thinks he's going to reveal the truth about George Santos, and he's going to show us that contrary to the othering and the media pile-on, George Santos is a person, a human being. And I don't know. I think George Santos is actually profoundly disturbing and kind of frightening. Did you see that Z-Way interview he did?
Oh yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't.
He was better in it than she was. He had and actually she asked him about Drag Race, and his reply, he was just on it. And you realize that this is not the last we've seen of him or heard of him.
Well, it's not though. It's like Trump. People are taking note of what he did and how he did it, and the next George Santos is going to be even more George Santos-y. I mean, it's like it is now. It is a thing to do. Is we've learned that we can lie and we can fabricate and we can make ourselves fabulous, and nobody is. You can get away with it for a while.
Well, wasn't that Hitler's playbook?
Yeah.
The really big lie.
He sort of seems he feels like an uncanny valley fake AI person to me. Like he doesn't feel like a real person.
But he seems to have a talent for self-perpetuation. I just think we should watch this space. I think, I think perhaps we're underestimating, maybe in a way we underestimated Trump, and actually, funny enough, the way we underestimated Hitler, people thought he was a joke. I think we should take a break. There are 3 new House of Love flavors: passion fruit margarita, delish, vodka soda citrus, and totally tropical mocktail, which is, if you're doing a sort of dry January thing, very nice. And they're all available at houseoflovecocktails.com. We'll be right back after the break here on the Wow Report, when we reveal the #1 thing this week that made us go, wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton, here with James and Blake. Tom is sadly absent. Hey, what's #1 then?
#1.
Well, #1 is that it feels like 2003 all over again, because everywhere you turn is either Britney or Justin. Justin Timberlake has a new single out, a new music video, and you are either Team Justin or Team Britney at this point. He's trying his hardest for a comeback, but it feels like he's riding on her coattails.
Well, I didn't listen to the song or look at the video. What did you like it?
No, it's terrible. He's an awful man, and I am Team Janet, Team Britney all the way. But recently, too, Britney has been in the news over and over again, saying she's never going to record again, blah blah blah. But then she also had a scandal where she was topless at the Four Seasons pool, and they kicked her out. They banned her for life. And
in Westlake.
Westlake. And my thought of that is, no, you name the pool Britney Spears pool, and you give her free towel service and free free drinks, forever and ever. It's the best thing that ever happened to the.
Yeah, the best reply on X was from Timmy Shimmy, and he said, "She is allowed. Kick those other guests out."
Yes. That is the best thing that has ever happened at the Four Seasons. Celebrate it. Do not.
Right.
Yeah, have those assholes not read The Woman in Me yet?
That's the Four Seasons in Westlake. So yeah, she'll be back, right? And also, isn't there another, like, Jon Stewart is returning to The Daily Show?
Yeah, Jon Stewart is returning, and I have a thought about that. I'm very sorry, because as influential as he is, and as smart as he is, and as funny as he is, and how important he is, I will never forgive him for quitting in 2015 when his voice could have helped stop the ascent of Trump. It could have slowed it down. I think he gave up at the moment that the country needed him the most. I understand he was burnt out, but you soldier through for the sake of the country. I wish he would have hung on for another year. And I am still angry to this day that one of the great voices of our time, one of the most intelligent people in the world, just bowed out of his duty.
And isn't he back to make amends, though? It counts now, right?
But it is a little too late. I mean, we've had 7 years of this nonsense, and hopefully we can stop him this time. And I hope everybody unites to stop him. So thank God that he is back. But it's a little dereliction of duty that just always stuck in my craw.
Well, thank you, James, and thank you, Blake. And thank you for listening to the Wow Report. You can watch us on previous episodes on our YouTube channel, Wow Presents. And same time, same place next week. Until then,
I promise I won't be cranky pants next week, Kel.
I love you as Cranky Pants.
Yeah, that's what this is the James Cranky Pants show.
I love it. I love it. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go wow.
Wow.